Good morning and good afternoon, depending on where you are today. And welcome to the webinar, Smarter Hiring for Government HR, AI in Action. We're excited to have you with us as we explore how AI can help reduce friction, expand your reach, and support more confident hiring decisions. Today, we're going to walk through real challenges facing public sector HR teams and how AI-powered tools are helping streamline processes, improve candidate engagement, and deliver better hiring outcomes. So with that, let's go ahead and meet our speakers. First up, we have Pamela Benjamin. Pamela is an executive advisor here at NeoGov, and she brings deep expertise in public sector workforce strategy, helping organizations modernize how they hire and support their teams. Next, we have Lone Tran. She's the senior recruiter with the City of Portland. She has over a decade of experience, and she leads recruitment strategy, outreach programs, and NeoGov system initiatives across the city. Then we have Troylyn Kraft, senior recruiter with the City of Portland. She has spent the last 4 years connecting talent with meaningful public service opportunities and is passionate about helping people find roles that bring them fulfillment and happiness. And last, but certainly not least, we have Bethany Nichols. She is an HR generalist at Fresno Pacific University with 15 years plus experience in HR. She manages full life cycle recruitment and brings hands-on expertise as a longtime NeoEd systems administrator. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn the presentation over now to Pamela to get us started. Pam, it's all you.
Thanks, Kristen. And thank you to all my wonderful presenters today. We are super excited about this topic and want to jump right in. So every day, HR directors, they wake up, go to work, want to do more, want to eliminate some of those bottlenecks that come up in the hiring process. So we want to build teams. We want to build our organizations and make our workplaces the place of choice for employees. And we have to balance two worlds. We have to balance between the reality of leading a stretched out team who's working really hard in talent acquisition and the external pressures and perceptions of HR, making sure we have credibility and we have impact for our organization. So those things are critically important. Trying to click to my next slide. There we go. So we have to face the reality that we are accustomed to in HR every day. We come in with confidence and we want to be really strategic. And we have those constant pressures about talent acquisition and recruiting. Time is the enemy, always. Open positions linger. Your teams are stretched thin. With those gaps, morale eventually slips, and recruiting can be more like hunting, manual, expensive, and exhausting, where it should be more like fishing. Candidates don't match our expectations, and interviews are wasted on unqualified individuals who are not even interested in the roles that we have out there or the salary that we can provide. To make matters worse, we've got these one-size-fits-all HR tools and systems that the private sector uses that ignore all the intricacies and the details of public sector needs. And it forces us to do a lot of tedious manual workarounds that only increase our risk and our inconsistency. So the reality is there's a severe cost to inefficiency. There's this paradox that we have going on all the time. We've got all these high vacancies, but really flat budgets. So 51% of HR managers say they have to repost advertisements because they don't get enough qualified candidates. And there's this friction that exists between us having manual processes and disconnected systems. So 36% say that they have reported an increase in hire times for their employees. So from time to hire, from application to starting with your organization, 36% say they've seen an increase in that. And I don't know how many out there have seen situations where you've lost someone to a competitor because it took you too long from when they applied to when you were able to fill that position. Has that happened to any of us? It certainly has happened to me. So I know that feeling. And then we're seeing a really sharp decline in the number of applications that we're getting. So 56% decrease in applications is being reported in the public sector. So we've got a big problem here. We've got high vacancy, we've got not enough applications, and we have all these manual processes that our HR staffs are dealing with. So we've got a true dilemma that we're trying to combat on a day-to-day basis. So what are we doing? What are we doing? It's not just time, it's talent. Without action, these risks compound, and we experience a lot of wrong hires, long vacancies, burnout of our HR teams. You start losing the candidates for competitive agencies, like I said before, and we're just working harder and harder, and seems like we're not getting anywhere. As hiring drags on, your staff is getting burned out. You may lose some staff because they get frustrated with the processes and the systems. And you are accountable for the outcomes that you simply cannot meet just by working harder. So what do they always say? You can't work harder, you got to do what? You got to work smarter. So because we're trying to help people work smarter, you need a better way, and NeoGov has come up with some better ways. And today we're going to explore how purpose-built assertive AI is being applied across government organizations and the workflows to reduce the manual effort that your individuals in your HR departments are putting forward, to improve the candidate reach and to support more confident decision-making. With NeoGov, hiring simpler is made simpler and smarter, and ensures that the right people land in the right roles. So that's what we're always looking for. So now, whenever we mention artificial intelligence, which is everywhere, everybody's experienced it. I know some of you might feel like you're a bit uneasy for IA in the government space. IA in government space, we work under more scrutiny. We have to do more due diligence, and every hiring decision is under a lot more scrutiny. So for you all that are on here with me, Lone Tran, Troy Lynn, and Bethany, how has your agency begin to feel about AI? Have you all been resistant to AI entering into your workspaces and your workplaces, or have you been welcoming to it?
And my team be really welcoming to it. When it's used strategically, it can alleviate some burdens. It has to be used wisely, and it has to be used with discretion, right? But we're capable of figuring that out. And so, but it's been able to really alleviate some burdens and lessen the workload for a lot of people in a lot of strategic ways.
Good. What about Lone Tran or Troy Lynn?
We here at the City of Portland, we were a little hesitant in the very beginning, but what we've done is we've come up with policies around AI use, and we found that some of it eliminates some burden, some things that were really, really time consuming. So while we still review all of our applications ourselves, we use AI for other things like advertising and those things.
And we'll talk about those. Y'all have some real life examples that you're going to share in this webinar, and I'm really excited to get to that. So all of those things they've mentioned before, how to streamline things, how to eliminate manual processes. That's why NeoGov is defining what responsible AI looks like in the public sector. We believe in assertive AI, not authoritative AI. And what does that mean exactly, you ask? It means NeoGov embeds assertive AI directly into hiring workflows to reduce manual work and to boost efficiency. But it does not take out the human element. It does not make the hiring decisions. It just makes all those processes a little bit easier. AI serves as a guide. It analyzes information. It offers recommendations, but at all times, the selection is up to you all as the talented and professional individuals you are that know how to make those decisions you make every day. AI does not replace the human element, it just protects it. Furthermore, your applicants' employee and workforce data is never used to train public or global AI systems, so we keep that very private. And we make sure that we are sensitive to all of the needs that you have in public sector. So really AI recruiting solutions are built for government. AI and NeoGov is built right into the hiring workflows you already use, supporting better, faster decision-making without changing how government HR works. So we like that. We like AI. We're a technology company, so we want to use it to the best way, in the best ways that we can. So let's talk about some problems that we all are facing every day as HR professionals. What are we dealing with? Problem number one, post and hope strategy. We all have been there, right? We post it and we hope, like the Field of Dreams. We build it and they will come, right? So we're going to talk about some practical applications of the tools, how job advertising should amplify your hiring success, not hinder it. But historically, public sector advertising has been heavily manual and highly inefficient. HR teams lose valuable time manually posting job ads in places that they don't know if people are looking at them or not, on multiple platforms, and they often waste their budgets without having the tracking to really know whether it's been an effective posting or not. So we have a situation where we have all this manual entry. We're copying, we're pasting our job ads one by one, and then we're playing a guessing game. Are people really looking at it? Are the best applicants looking at it? Are we going to get any results from all the money and time that we're spending? We're just kind of spraying, praying, and waiting. That is what we're doing. So we want to use AI to help solve that problem. So the solution that NeoGov has come up with for that problem is job target programmatic campaigns and insight. So job target programmatic campaigns directly within NeoGov Insight. This tool uses AI-led campaigns to automatically distribute your job postings across targeted job brands, job boards, focusing your budget where qualified candidates are most likely to engage. So the job target programmatic campaigns in Insight, it's an automatic one-click posting, no manual cut and paste. It is optimizing the algorithms that we all know exist out there with AI, and it's helping you post those positions into the top performing job boards, and you're able to use your advertising dollars to its most effective use. And so that's really what that whole process is. Job advertising, again, should amplify your hiring success, not hinder it. Job target integration into Insight uses the AI-led campaigns to auto post. But if you're like me, you want to see these things in action. You want to know that somebody out there has actually used these tools to help solve the problems that they're facing every day. And so to talk about it a little bit more, we have Lone Tran and Trey Lynn Craft from the beautiful city of Portland. And they're going to talk about how their recruiting issues were solved, or at least minimized, by putting AI in action in their organizations. So Lone and Troy Lynn, you guys ready to dig in to kind of some of the things that you were able to accomplish? I'm going to turn it over to these ladies, and they're going to set the stage for the problems that they were experiencing. And once they set that stage, then we're going to get to what kind of results and what kind of great strides they were able to make using AI. Ladies.
So we embraced job target programmatic when we first learned about it. Prior to using that for outreach, we actually had, and many of you can probably relate to this, we had a sign-in spreadsheet with usernames and passwords for thousands of outreach sites, and each one was just a little bit different. Each one of our bureaus wanted to post jobs in different specialty sites, so literally thousands of different places to post. Each site had its own unique way to post, so it wasn't, it is some copy and paste, but every one has a form, one has a different kind of form. It was, really cumbersome. This was an incredible administrative burden and a constant topic of conversation in our monthly meetings about how time-consuming this was, how costly it was, and how inefficient it was. So we found out about Job Target, and I was very, very excited to try this out. And so, but our bureaus were very much set in the ways that they had done it, right? We would have, their 15 different places that they post for every single one of their jobs. So it became, let's use some creative tactics to deal with our hiring managers. And so I'm kind of a data person, and that's one of the things I love about this is at the end of every day, I can check and look at the data and see, get some information back. And so what I did was I explained this to one bureau, and I said, so what I would like to do is I would like to test this out. And so what I did was we took their 15 places that they wanted to post. That total cost for that, by the way, was well over $1,000 for where they would typically post. In addition to that, I would send out like 500 emails to this huge email list. And then what I did was I used Job Target to actually select each one of those posting places, because then I could get the data back, whether anybody was viewing in the places that they were selecting.
Right.
The results of that were we had 314 views and 0 applications from paid advertising. Over $1,000, 0 views. But yet in the same one, in the organic sources, just going to government job, we had 47 applications and over 37,000 views. So the job was getting views, but none of the paid advertising was working. So I shared this data and they were like, that's really interesting. I said, so now this next time, let's try AI. Let's see what that might look like. So we took our next job, and at that time, it was the beginning, it was only $449 to post. It's a little more expensive now, but still only $499. With that job, with paid advertising, we had 627 views and 11 applications. So that's a big difference, right? It's a huge difference in the cost. It's a huge difference in the number of views, the huge difference in the number of applications. And so totally we ended up with, over 150 applications. So, and I was able to show this data to the Bureau, and they completely embraced it. There is no more sending thousands of emails. There is no more having to post in all of these spots. I can literally post a job. I can do it myself. I don't have to lean into the admin staff to do it at all. I can post it all in like less than 5 minutes. It's wonderful. Go ahead, Lone, and you can share your part.
Yeah, thank you, Torlin. So for me, with there was one particular recruitment, we always struggle reaching out or reaching qualified applicants for this particular technical position. So using Torlin's pitch that she did with one of the team in the same bureau, we decided to go with the second level, which is like 299, to see if we can get any additional applicant. We actually doubled the amount of applicant we received from previous year that we've done that recruitment, but not just doubling the applicant, we also increased our diversity within the applicant pool, which was really nice because we know for this job, sometimes there might be a language barrier, but we know that they can do the position. So it was nice using Job Target and AI for us to be able to reach that specific demographic that are qualified for the position. And then some of my work as well is working one-on-one, working with different community organization, helping applicant get through the application process. So being able to do the one click, like Torlin say, like we can just post ads within like a few minutes. I can spend to now take the time where I normally would spend 3 days posting jobs. I'm using that time now to work more with closely one-on-one with individual who's interested in working for the city, or even like organization and doing how to apply a presentation. So it gives back a lot of time for us to do, additional outreach, like the utilization of Job Target and AI really is a tool, because we know we always have to do different type of outreach, but having something that's streamlined and us spending time being out in the community, talking about our job, talking about our process is a lot more valuable and more appreciative from our community, that we're able to be out there talking about these jobs versus just also reading it online.
Wow, that is incredible that you guys went from having spending thousands of dollars. You had to have a whole campaign, Shortland, to convince people, because the proof is in the pudding, right? So you use the data that you were gathering to show them, okay, this is what we're doing and this is what we can do. And then you knock that cost down and the time to fill down considerably. And then I love the fact that you all were able to do more impactful things, getting out into the community, being able to be more one-on-one, to really get those good candidates, to break down some of those language barriers, or to go out to places where maybe you wouldn't have reached those people before, and you're able to bring them into the city, increase your diversity numbers, and really be more strategic about what you were doing, instead of spending all that time on 500 emails that you were sending out, Troy-Lynn, and thousands of posts that were just kind of sitting there not even being seen. So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about being transformative in your organizations by being able to use these simple tools in AI that make life so much easier, and so much more impact is made with you all every day in your city, in your community. So I love it. I love it. This is a perfect example of how AI is really making a difference out here in the world. So we got that one situation that they have really done a great job of getting in there and making things better. So let's talk about another problem we have, the passive wait, right? So our next thing that we're going to talk about and tackle is how are we focusing more on proactive candidate outreach? With limited resources, HR teams do not have the time to spend hours searching through databases for candidates. Just as Troy and Lone talked about, you need to be very much more strategic and use your time more wisely. So how do we get those good candidates? And how do we are able to make more personal contact with the great candidates that are out there, instead of spending our time emailing all day to 500 candidates? So we got limited reach. Traditional boards, they just don't have the outreach that we really need to get those candidates that are the perfect ones for our job opportunities. And a lot of that's manual. You're sending out emails, you're clicking, like Troy said, every site has a different way. One site has a form, one site has, you know, another way that you got to click in. And so how are we spending our time wisely and getting over this whole passive wait that we're experiencing? So a new tool that NeoGov has put into place is the virtual recruiter in Attract. Again, we're embedding AI into those systems that you're already using. And so the virtual recruiter in NeoGov Attract acts as an always-on automated recruiting assistant. It automatically identifies qualified candidates who meet your criteria and sends them personalized outreach emails, filling the gap of having an additional recruiter. So it gives you an additional set of hands. And nothing's more effective than for a candidate to get a personalized message from you. They know that you're interested in them. They know that they're somebody who may be a great fit in your organization, and it makes them more interested in coming to work for you. So the virtual recruiter in Attract, it just automates this whole process and allows you to be more strategic in how you're doing your outreach. And so it's something that we have added because we know that there's a need out there for more strategic approach to getting those candidates. So we have with us here, we have Bethany Nichols. Bethany is going to share how Fresno Pacific University has used this because they have some very specific hiring needs and some very specific requirements of their candidates. Bethany is going to talk to us a little bit about how they've used this technology to make things better for their organization. So Bethany, you ready? Take it away.
Yes, thank you, Pamela. So at FPU, we're a faith-based institution, and so that already gives us a unique mission. But on top of that, we're also in what's considered an educational desert. So the people around us don't necessarily have the education and experience requirements that we need for certain niche positions. And so it created some serious hiring challenges and definitely gave us a smaller hiring pool. And so we were also spending anywhere from $500 to $3,000 to post jobs on external niche job boards, and really seeing very little return on our investment, like you guys were saying as well. And so definitely some challenges financially, some challenges in just getting the right people. And we don't want to just hire people. We want to hire people who are passionate about our mission, right? So how do we do that? How do we get that mission out there and attract the right candidates who are going to come in passionate about what we're doing? So those were definitely our challenges.
Okay. So once you use the virtual recruiter in Attract, what did those results look like?
Yeah, so Attract gave us control over our employer branding. It allowed us to be really highly strategic with the message that we get out there and how we're getting it out there. Our university's website, for obvious reasons, was tailored towards students, right? I'm sure a lot of city and county websites are also not necessarily tailored towards hiring people, right? So our HR page, anytime we wanted to make changes to that web page, we had to depend on our web developer team. And it could take weeks or months for them to create and complete the content, which was just it's an additional challenge, right? Hey, we want to get this message out there, but it was a long process to do it. So with Attract, my HR team can easily create custom landing pages, feature that mission forward messaging, and we can easily make updates as we need to. So we can keep it fresh, we can keep changing that message and tailoring it the way we need to attract the right people. And then using Source and Virtual Recruiter, we're expanding our outreach. So we can strategically set up email campaigns to proactively target nationwide candidates with specific experience. We're upfront in our emails about our mission, which ensures that it's very clear and we're attracting the people who care about our mission from day one. And my team will often come in the morning and we have emails from potential candidates saying, hey, tell me more about this. Tell me more about your university, or tell me more about this position, you know? And I'd much rather spend time engaging with them, right, from day one and sharing more about what we do and what the position's all about than just posting and hoping or whatever, you know? So it's time well spent, and we have that virtual recruiter just working in the background, doing quite a bit of that work for us. So the proof's definitely in the numbers. You guys can see there, overall, we've increased applications by 36% using these tools. A great example is we recruited for one position in 2023, and then we recruited for the same position again in 2025 using Attract that second time. And we saw 2.5 times more applications. It was a significant increase, simply because we were able to strategically expand our outreach and highlight that mission. And we're also seeing a 50% increase in our conversion rate, which is no small feat. So financially, we reduced our reliance on external job boards, which has saved thousands each year, not to mention the time savings, especially if you're not using Job Target. You guys were saying you were spending days. We would spend at least hours, you know, posting positions on these external job boards. But in reality, without Attract, we would have had to hire a full-time recruiter, which would have been a significant financial expense as well. So Attract paid for itself in the first year easily. We're able to recruit really strategically without a significant workload on our team, which is huge. So, and then we decreased our time to hire by about 2 weeks on average, which has been awesome as well. So we're really getting those positions filled more quickly with the right people who care about our mission from day one. And that's really improved our engagement and morale in the workplace as well. Our turnover has decreased by about 45% since we started using these tools.
Wow, that is amazing. So it is helping you in so many different ways, whether you can sit in the driver's seat and change your postings and edit that and do that all yourself. You don't have to get IT to help you do that. You're getting in those people who really have identified with you all as an organization and really want to work for you, because nothing's worse than going out here recruiting and then that person isn't a good match for you. And so this is awesome. I can't believe the numbers that you are seeing. That is incredible. And just having, like you said, it's paid for itself by not requiring you guys to hire a new person. Yeah. It has taken that place, and that is really incredible asset to your organization. And so
Absolutely.
that is really exciting. And the number one thing we all want to do, we're recruiting and hiring because we want to do what? We want to retain people. We want to build a workforce and teams that identify with the mission and really are doing the work that we need them to do. And so your retention numbers are amazing, and that's what we all want. And so AI and this tool and Attract has helped you do that. And so we're really excited about those things, and that is really cool to hear. So we're going to talk about one more problem that we have, which is the misaligned requirements. We've touched on all of that as we've been talking so far, and Bethany gave us a beautiful success story about what she was able to do at Fresno Pacific. But finding people with the right heart and saving thousands of dollars and weeks of time is exactly what the technology is meant to do. So now we've got this other issue of our misaligned requirements. So hiring teams don't struggle because they lack effort. We're all working really hard every day, have our nose to the grindstone. They struggle because job postings are often built on internal assumptions about experience and education and compensation that, quite frankly, are not in line with each other. By the time you realize a posting isn't working, valuable time and energy and effort has already been lost. Recruiters are screening candidates who are never viable at all, and hiring managers grow frustrated by unqualified applicants. So we got this whole situation here where it's a silent detractor. Qualified candidates aren't able to get through. We're getting unqualified candidates that are getting through, and people aren't happy with maybe the salary that we're requiring, and HR data isn't there to justify changing the job requirements because we don't know what the data is. So one of the things that I'm really excited about is how do we help people build a strong applicant pool? And if you have a strong applicant pool, it starts with a strong job posting. And so we're really excited about using AI technology to help with that as well. So I want to talk a little bit about that now. The solution to that is going to be smart recommendations and insight. Again, another way AI is being employed in the systems that you already have in place. This is allowing you the smart recommendations in NeoGov Insight. It is allowing you to monitor your live job postings and to detect early warnings that the performance signals indicate a role is underperforming. So how are we doing that? Under generative AI, it is analyzing the experience, the salary, education requirements of the role, and then it looks and sees if that is clear and targeted, and whether making recommendations to help teams course correct without having to restart the entire process. So essentially what it's doing is AI might suggest, for example, you may have a posting that has 4 years of experience for a position that you've posted. With using the smart recommendations and insight, it's looking out there at all the people who are applying and all the candidates that are available and saying, hey, you might want to reconsider that. It might be more beneficial to you to reduce that 4 years to 2 years, and then you may get a greater pool of applicants, and it may allow you to be able to look at those applicants and have a better fit with the job that you're posting for. So it may suggest reducing the experience, changing the training, changing the salary, because maybe you're not getting the good applicants because your salary is out of range or out of whack. And so it explains why the changes are recommended, and it enables you to make those little tweaks so that your job posting is more attractive to those candidates out there. The goal isn't just to generate more applicants, but to attract candidates who are actually qualified and realistically willing to accept your position. And we all want to do that. We all want to make sure we're getting the right candidates to fit in the right seats on our buses in our organizations. Everybody's heard that term before, getting the right seat, right people in the right seats on the bus. And so that's what that is trying to do for us. And so we want to make sure that we're considering all those things. That is actually in beta. It hasn't come out yet, but we're excited that it's going to be coming out soon. So we want to make sure that everybody is aware of all of those things that we're doing in AI as an organization to make sure that you are able to do a better job in your HR shops. So we're streamlining and making more efficient processes, smart, compliant AI workflows that cut manual tasks and time to hire, saving HR time and reducing agency-wide stress and burnout, fast, meaningful candidate engagement, automating, targeting, outreach acts as reliable, speedy recruiters, assistants, making stronger connections with more candidates without additional time or effort. And next, empowered, confident HR teams, which we all want. When HR teams experience a greater recruitment success, their credibility goes up, their relationships improve with the candidates and the internal stakeholders that they provide service to. So those things are so very critical to making sure our HR teams are successful. We also have another AI component that I'm really excited about as well. And NeoGov is going to start helping to support beyond recruitment. This is also in beta, but we are going to release soon AI writing assistant in Perform. For any of you who have Perform, this is going to be an awesome tool. So you'll be able to expedite written reviews. You'll also be able to capture complete performance in your Perform system. So it's going to help you draft those reviews so that they say what you want them to say, and they help the managers come up with the words that they need to capture that person's performance for that performance year. It's often hard to kind of start from scratch, and so this AI support is going to help you draft those statements so that they are more effective, they communicate more clearly, and you're able to really express the good work that your employees are doing on a daily basis. So stay tuned for that. That is coming soon, and that is in beta for us right now, and that's going to be AI writing assistant in Perform. So we're really excited about that tool coming out as well. So we want to make sure that you know that NeoGov is making sure that we are responsible with our AI additions to our software. And we understand what it's like to be in the government space. So responsible assertive AI and government hiring is what we're all about. An assistant, not a decision maker. We want to make sure that you understand that. It's not out there making those decisions for you. It's just helping you. It is assisting you in hiring, but the final decision is always up to you. It gives complete data security. I know a lot of people are always nervous about whether or not their data is safe. And we want to assure you that all agency data is private and secure and never used to train public AI systems. We also want you to know that it's industry-focused recruiting analysis. AI uses public sector hiring context and compliance to provide relevant analysis. So we want to make sure that you know that we are doing those things that keep you in mind as we create more AI innovations and make more improvements in our software. So I want to thank Lone, Troy Lynn, and Bethany for your participating in our webinar today. And I want to give you an opportunity, if you'd like, to say some parting words about how AI has helped in your organization. Any parting words from Bethany, Troy Lynn, or Lone?
I'll say that it's been really a blessing when we use it strategically, right? When we can streamline those communications and fine tune, set the right tone on things, or, you know, we've been able to plug job descriptions in and really streamline those so that they're a little more straightforward and easier for our candidates to understand. I think there's great tools out there. Obviously, the NeoEd Attract tools have been a blessing for us, but AI can be great. Yeah.
Thanks, Bethany.
Yeah, and I'll add, like, it's been a great tool to help streamline because we're doing so, like, there's a lot of changes, there's a lot of things that we have to do in recruitment, being able to balance between the work that we're doing in the system, application, and then, like, you know, the candidate experience. So just having tools and being open and having the flexibility to work with how it works in our process within the organization has been really a great help in like a lot of the work that we're doing.
Yeah, awesome. Awesome. Well, as we wrap up our 45 minutes, we want to make sure that there's an opportunity for a little Q&A. Kristen, we got a few questions out there. I know we got one great question.
We have some good ones. Okay, so first question, I'll start with a little bit easier one, is how does AI in NeoGov actually help reduce time to hire without adding a bunch of complexity?
So in the examples that we've seen, I think that Bethany and Shoreland and Lone have demonstrated how they just are using it in the software that they already use. It's already in Insight, it's already in Interact. It is allowing them to use the components in there to streamline their processes, where like Troy Lynn says she was posting to all those thousands of sites and sending out 500 emails. It's doing that stuff for her. She's not having to do that herself. And I won't put words in your mouth, Troy Lynn. You wanna add how it's helping you?
Well, one of the ways that it definitely helps us is when we were selecting the sites that we were going to, sometimes we would have to extend our posting because we didn't have enough quality applicants. So in that first example that I used, we actually did have to extend that posting for a couple of weeks. And the paid advertising didn't get us any applications. On the one where we used programmatic, job target programmatic, it was really nice because number one, we didn't have to extend it at all, and we got twice as many applicants, and 11 of those were from the paid advertising. So just being able to shorten the recruitment time means that we can then get to the next step. You know, now we can get into interviews a little bit faster. So we're cutting just a couple of weeks off here, maybe a week off there. It really does shorten our time to hire.
Because time is definitely money. Bethany, you have anything to add?
Yeah, I would say for us, the strategy has been, one, we're getting our message out there and we're controlling that message and putting it in front of the right people far more strategically. And then with things like virtual recruiter just working in the background, it's pretty much passive for my team, right? We can go in and fine tune the communications that send out, make sure that the message is something that our candidates are responding to. But other than that, it's working for us. And so it's getting the right candidates in, it's getting them in more quickly. Like that one example I gave of that position, we had 2.5 times more applications, and they were well qualified candidates. We had more finalists out of that pool than we did our previous pool for the same position, because we're getting in more people, we're getting in people with better qualifications for the position. So we can make those decisions and get the right person in the right place a little more promptly.
Awesome. So next question that I had come in the chat, I'll actually take this one. The question was for the Perform AI assistant, is that something that's just going to be included in your license if you already have Perform once it exits beta? And the answer is yes. So Pam alluded to that these AI features that are in your product, they're not an additional SKU. So if you have access to that product, so long as it's GA, so generally available, you should have access to that feature. So keep an eye out for when that one goes GA and you'll have access to it. Next question I have is, how can we trust AI recommendations when it comes to job requirements or salary suggestions?
Well, I think the biggest thing is where the information is coming from. We're bringing it in from public sites, and so we are not out comparing the jobs to external private information. So it's coming in from those public sites, which are trusted sites, and the way the technology has been built, it is, it's very secure. It's coming from our other clients and our other customers. And I think that it's the source of the data that's really important. And that makes it a little more trustworthy as far as I'm concerned. Christian, you got anything else you want to add on that?
Yeah, I think that that was a really fair assessment. You know, we're taking these publicly available ranges and crunching them inside the product, and so it's, you know, it's a mathematical decision there that is very specific to public sector hiring. So next question I have for you. I'm not sure that this one has a NeoGov specific answer, but I'm very interested to see what the panel is doing in their day-to-day work lives. How do you identify applicants that are using AI to fill out their applications? Lots of inexperienced candidates are using AI to make it appear that they qualify when they don't.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of this.
That's a good question.
It's interesting because we had a position posted that we got this massive response right away, which kind of surprised us considering the position it was. But almost all of them had the exact same verbiage with minute differences here and there. And it's discouraging, right? Because you want to see good candidates, you want to see honest applications. But when we see stuff like that, honestly, we're turning them down because, one, if you're not able to give us an honest application, what are you doing, you know? And in some cases, they're lying about it. And if you're lying on your application, that's just red flag number one, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, there are times, I think, because we have some questions on our application that need a personal answer, right? They might be using that to kind of guide their ability, but they have a unique personalized response. Whatever, you know, that's just using the tools available to you in a wise way. But if I get a copy and paste, one time we had one that said, it literally, the answer identified itself as AI. They didn't adjust the verbiage at all. Like, what are we doing? You know, automatic turn down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyone else on that one?
I can talk a little tiny bit. One of the things we do sometimes is we have what we call as meet and greets, where we have a meeting that's about an hour long, and our hiring managers talk about the position, et cetera, answer questions, those kind of things. And I talk in those meetings about AI, and I talk about the fact that we are very well aware that people are using AI. And so what I always say is, I would encourage you to use that as a tool and not as a cheat, because I'm going to have your resume open while I'm reading your cover letter or your responses to supplemental questions. And if those two don't match up, you're not going to move forward in the process. Or the other thing that I like to share with people, and I think it's really eye-opening for applicants for me to say this out loud, is if I get two applicants who have the exact same response, that can't possibly be about both of you. So therefore, you're not going to move forward in the process. So you're really eliminating your chances if you use AI as that cheat. So use it as a tool. Use it to update, to make sure that you punctuate properly, or, you know, all of those kind of ways that AI is a tool, the same as we use it in HR. And then I also assure them that we're going to read all of their responses and that AI is not reading those responses. And so just making candidates aware of that fact. We also have that on our job posting. I think that really helps them understand that the purpose of their application is for us to get to know them and for them to really be a little more specific and make those answers a little more personal.
Mm-hmm.
I have had times where I've contacted hiring managers and said, I suspect they might have used AI to answer this question. Can you make sure you dig into that when you speak with them, you know? And so we don't always know for sure, right? But we can dig into that a little further and make sure we're getting good, honest responses from them.
Yeah, and that highlights the human element to all of this, doesn't it? So you all as professionals, you've done your job, you know what you're looking for, and you know you're doing the work to screen the applications, and you're seeing those differences, or you're seeing the same verbiage, like you said, over and over again on the same with different people, and so you know that it can't be, that it has to be AI driven. So yeah.
Awesome. Our audience has been amazing in submitting many Q&As. And so I think we're going to try to take like 2 or 3 more. But if you submitted a question and I didn't get to you, rest assured that we will be following up via email after today's session. So next question that I have is, we use behavioral-based questions and we follow up with a telephone call and ask similar questions where they aren't able to use AI. So that one's more of a statement about perhaps the last question.
And that's a good tool, is those behavioral questions. And so you can't, as you're asking the question, they don't have time to go in here and put something in AI and chat GPT and get it to spit something out. And so you can get really hands-on level experience doing that. So that's a good thing that you're doing.
And I've got another follow-up for Bethany, if we can, on the previous question as well. This one I thought this one would spark some debate, and it definitely did. Bethany mentioned when candidates use AI on their applications, the verbiage is almost the same throughout each application. How can you ensure AI maintains unique diction when generating and refining language in Perform?
So I know with us, we've actually taken a response that we've gotten on something and plugged it into ChatGPT and said, did AI generate this? And it gave us a whole list of reasons why it was very likely AI generated, right? And so it's really hard to determine, right, when we're getting good stuff and when we're not, and when candidates are submitting that, or when an employee is submitting something using AI. But yeah, can you repeat some of the last part of the question?
Sorry, I'm going back to it. One moment.
And so go ahead. I'm sorry, Kristen, go ahead.
The last part of the question was how we're ensuring that AI maintains unique diction when generating and refining language in Perform.
Yeah, AI, what I have seen is it'll output the same basic stuff, but with verbiage changes. And if you put the same question into AI 3 or 4 times, you're going to get slightly refined answers each time, right? So you're going to get a different diction each time. But if you prompt it that first time, everybody who prompts it that first time is probably getting a very similar answer, right? And so when we're seeing those identical responses across the board, it's definitely an opportunity to go back to your employee, go back to your candidate and say, hey, can we get a refined answer here? Or can we adjust this?
Okay. Last question, and then I'm going to make a statement that may answer some of the other questions that came in. When comparing salaries and requirements, does it also take into consideration geographic location or cost of living? And I'm assuming that is in relation to the SMART recommendations here.
Yeah, I would think so.
What I recall from what was shared at Ignite is that it's searching similar jobs in your area, right? So it should be grabbing from the other employers in your area that are posting the same positions. Is that correct?
Yeah, so that's correct on the geographic location. I actually am unsure about the cost of living adjustments, and so I will take a note to follow up with the product team on that and get a definitive answer on the cost of living portion. All right, with 2 minutes left, I feel like this is probably the end of our Q&A. As I said, we will be following up with anybody who didn't get their questions answered. There were a number of questions in the Q&A about roadmap items. So what's coming next with AI? A lot of wondering about candidate screening and help that can be offered there through AI. And yes, Pam knows exactly where I was going, which was to the Fuel Conference. So next month, April 28th and 29th, we will be having a virtual learning summit. This is our first of the virtual user conferences that we will be doing, and there are roadmap sessions being offered during this conference. So our product team is coming on. They're going to tell you all the good stuff that's coming for AI. It's going to be very AI-centric roadmaps, and what you can expect and when you can expect it. So, to me, this is like a don't miss it event, and you'll be getting additional email communications about this. But if you've got questions about what is built next for AI at NeoGov, this is the place to come learn about it. So with that, I just want to thank our presenters once again, and thank you, the audience, for spending an hour of your time with us today. We really appreciate you. There's a bunch of resources and links coming your way. You'll get a recording of this webinar. If you registered and weren't able to attend, you'll get a recording as well. For those of you who are wondering about that, that one came up in the chat too. And lots of resources coming your way. So thanks for spending the time with us, and we hope to see you at Fuel in a month. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.